Hi guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I would like to start this video first by saying a huge thank you to you all. Thank you guys so much for being awesome, and thank you for being a part of my journey and a part of this family. You guys are absolutely amazing, and in case you're wondering why I'm thanking you specially today, it's because guys, we actually hit 20,000 subscribers. So you guys know that I'm very grateful, and every opportunity that I get, I always say thank you and appreciate you guys because it's the least that I can do. But this is a special thank you from me to you guys. Thank you for getting us to 20,000 subscribers. Thank you for being a part of this family. Thank you for being supportive, for being encouraging. Thank you for interacting with my videos, and thank you for sharing them. You guys are the absolute best. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Ayotola, the creative director of So Unique Adunni, and the content creator of this channel, DIY with So Unique Adunni. And this channel was created just for you to teach you lots of crafts and sewing projects that you can do from the comfort of your home. If you would like to be a part of this amazing family, all you need to do is absolutely easy. You just want to click on the subscribe button right here on the screen, as well as the notification bell, so you don't miss out on the awesome content that I have for you guys. And guess what guys, it is absolutely free of charge. So yes, go ahead and subscribe and be a part of this family. I would love to have you guys on board. To all my returning subscribers, to all the OGs on here, welcome back. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you once again for being on this journey with me. You guys know how we do it. Today I've got another detailed tutorial for you guys, and I'm going to be showing you how to make yet another wrap dress. So in case you don't know, I already have a tutorial on how to make a wrap dress. It was one that I made for my sister, and I made this about a year ago, sometime in May last year. So if you haven't already seen it, I'm going to put a link in the description bar as well as in the icons above. Check it out, watch the video. It's one of the videos that I have that is doing really well, so definitely watch it. And then today's one is just something different. This time it's going to be a flare or a circle dress, right? So it's not going to be the regular straight wrap dress. It's going to be a flare wrap dress or a circle wrap dress. And in case you haven't already seen the two detailed videos that I have on how to do, how to cut a circle or understanding circles and flares, as well as the one that says how to hem a circle, you might want to watch that before watching this video, because I will make reference to that. So if you haven't already seen that, go ahead and watch those videos. However, you can keep watching this and then go back to those ones. Whatever one you like absolutely works. So like I said, I'm going to giving you guys a detailed tutorial on how to make a circle or flare dress like you can see in the thumbnail. It promises to be another fun and detailed tutorial. Definitely keep watching. If you haven't already liked this video, I know some of you guys just like it immediately, you click on it, and you guys are my OGs. But if you haven't already liked this video, ensure to give this video a thumbs up, because it tells the YouTube algorithm that you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to leave your comments, suggestions and feedback in the comment section below. So guys, without further ado, let's get into the video and enjoy the video guys. To make your wrap dress, you will need the following items. You need your pencil, but I've got a marker here so you guys can see clearly. You'd also need some pins and a magnet or pin cushion. You need your fabric scissors. You need your paper scissors as well, because we're going to be drafting on paper. You need your measuring tape. You need your fabric marker or tailor's chalk. You'd also need your fabric. I've got 5 yards of Ankara fabric here. You also need your pattern master. And lastly, you need your pattern paper. So my paper has been folded into two, as you can see, and that's because we're going to be working with it while it's on fold. So guys, we're going to be drafting the upper part of the wrap dress, and to do that you want to start off by drawing a top line. So the top line can be just 1 inch wide, which is 2.5 centimeters. So I've gone ahead to draw mine now, and remember you want your paper to be on fold. After drawing the top line, you want to go ahead and mark the vertical measurements. So you want to mark the shoulder to bust point measurement, as well as the shoulder to waist measurement. And then you want to go 2 inches above the shoulder to bust point measurement to mark the shoulder to armhole measurement. After marking all these points, go ahead and square them out. So the first one I'm squaring out is the armhole line, then the next one is the bust line, and then the last one is the waist line. After squaring out all these lines, go ahead and label them appropriately. So starting from the top line, you want to label that as the back or the shoulder line. Then the next one will be the armhole line, followed by the bust line, and lastly the waist line. On the back and armhole lines, go ahead and put half the back measurement plus half an inch sewing allowance. So in my case, my back measurement is 15 inches. Half of that is 7.5 inches plus 0.5 inches sewing allowance. That's 8 inches. So I've gone ahead to mark 8 inches on the back line as well as on the armhole line. And I've connected these 2 points with a vertical line as shown. On the vertical line that you've just drawn, go ahead and mark half the vertical measurements plus half an inch sewing allowance. So for instance, if the vertical line measures 8 inches, you want to mark 4.5 inches. After doing that, go ahead and mark half an inch inwards. This serves as a guide to help you draw the perfect armhole curve. With the aid of a pattern master, go ahead and draw in the armhole curve, making sure to touch the armhole lines, touch the half an inch guide that we did, and then go ahead and touch the top line as shown. Starting from the top line, mark 1 inch vertically on the armhole line. Starting from the folded edge of the paper, go ahead and mark the neck width measurements that you want. So you can use anything from 3.5 to about 5.5 or 6 inches. However, you must remember that it's on fold, so when you open it, it will be wider. Go ahead and mark the neck depth as well. And for me, I used a neck depth of 1 inch and then went ahead to draw in the neckline. To get the shoulder slant, connect the neck width point to the 1 inch drop on the armhole line as shown. Starting from the edge of the paper, go ahead and mark on the armhole and bust lines 1/4 of the bust measurement plus 1 inch for the sewing allowance and then half an inch for the ease. If you want your dress to be a bit more fit or snug, you can use 1/4 of an inch for the ease instead of half an inch for the ease. And on the waistline, go ahead and mark 1/4 of the waist measurement plus 1 inch for the sewing allowance and half an inch for the ease as well. With a straight line, connect the point on the bust and the armhole measurements together and then connect it to the waistline with a slant line. Afterwards, go ahead and blend out all the sharp edges or sharp corners. This pattern, I have decided to add all my sewing allowances to the paper as well. So go ahead and add half an inch around the neckline, that will be the sewing allowance. You also want to add half an inch around the shoulder slant area for the sewing allowance and likewise half an inch around the waist area. We've added the sewing allowance for the armhole area and we've also added the sewing allowance for the side seam area, so that won't be necessary again. After marking all the sewing allowance, go ahead and cut out the paper so that we can use it as a pattern template to cut out our fabric. Fold the fabric over, ensuring that you have just the desired amount of fabric that you require, and then go ahead and place the pattern on it. You want to ensure that the folded edge of the pattern aligns with the folded edge of the fabric, and then you want to go ahead and pin it in place, starting with the edge first. After pinning it in place, go ahead and cut it. As you will remember that we've added all our allowances onto the paper, you have no need to add any allowance onto the fabric. After cutting out the fabric, unpin the fabric and then mark the wrong side. This fabric is the back piece and it is now time for us to work on the pattern so that we can cut out the front piece using the same pattern that we've made. You can make your markings on the left or the right hand side of the pattern, as it doesn't really matter. However, what you want to do is you want to mark it 3/4 of an inch starting from the waist point, and you want to mark that upwards. This serves as a guide to help you draw the neckline. So as you can see, I've marked 3/4 of an inch upwards from the waist, and then you want to go ahead and draw a curved line to meet the neckline area. Depending on how low you want the neckline to be, you can make alterations to your curved line as shown. You will notice that you have a crease formed at the center of the pattern from folding the pattern. That crease formed is the depth of the neckline. So if you want your neckline lower, go ahead and make it lower so that it touches exactly where you want on the crease or the center part of the pattern. So as you can see, I'm making different necklines so that you can choose, but I'll be going with the one in the middle because it's not too low and not too high. However, if you want yours lower, go ahead and do that. Just draw the curve so that it's lower, and if you want yours higher, you can as well do that. After drawing the desired neckline, go ahead and cut it out as shown. And at this point, guys, we now have the pattern that we need to cut out the front pieces. For the front pieces, you'll be cutting out 2 pieces as well. Remember that all the allowance has been added onto the pattern, so you don't need to add an allowance. Go ahead and pin the pattern to the fabric, and then go ahead and cut it out as shown. After cutting out the fabric, go ahead and take out the pins and then mark the wrong sides. The next thing to do will be to finish off the necklines with bias strip. And if you don't know how to cut out the bias strip, I've got a detailed tutorial showing you how to cut out the bias strip. So go ahead and click on the video in the iCards above if you haven't seen it already, as well as in the description bar, so you can see how to cut out and finish a bias strip. Go ahead and finish all the necklines, including the back neckline, with the bias strip as shown. After finishing the neckline with the bias strip, here's what it looks like. Next, we'll need to join the shoulders and the side. So to go ahead and join the shoulder, you want to place the back piece on the table, making sure the right side is facing up. Then go ahead and place the corresponding front piece on it, making sure the right sides of both pieces are facing each other. Ensure the shoulders match, and then go ahead and pin the shoulders together, starting from the neckline area to the edge of the shoulder as shown. After pinning the shoulder, go ahead and pin the sides together as well. You want to pin all the way from the armhole area to the waist area as shown. Mark out the sewing allowance of 1/2 inch around the shoulder area, and then go ahead and sew it in place as shown. At the side seam, mark out the sewing allowance of 1 inch from top to bottom as shown. After doing that, you want to go ahead and mark out 1 inch from the bottom, from the waist area upwards, and then you want to go ahead and mark another 1.5 inches from that mark upwards. That gap that you just marked will be left unsewn, so you go ahead and sew up onto there and then leave that space unsewn. You also want to repeat this for the other side. However, on the other side, you will sew the side up completely. You don't need to leave any gap unsewn. After sewing the shoulders and the sides, here's what it looks like. And as you can see on this side, I left that gap unsewn, and that's why you have the hole for the belt to go in. So go ahead and iron it out, and if you want, you can use some hemming glue to hold it in position, which is what I did. And you can see the hole is in place, and that's where the belt goes. So guys, at this point, we are nearly finished with our wrap dress. The next thing to do is to cut out the circle. Go ahead and fold the bodice into 2 equal parts and then create a notch at the center. After creating a notch at the center, go ahead and measure what you have and then remember to multiply it by 2 because it's folded. So basically at this point the value that I have is 26.75 inches. So you need to multiply that by 2 because remember like I said, it is on fold. After measuring the entire waist area of the bodice, which measured 26.75, I went ahead to multiply it by 2 because like I said, it was on fold, which gave me 53.5. Then I went ahead to add the hemming allowance of 2 inches, 1 inch on the left and 1 inch at the other side, which gave me 55.5. And I used that and I used the formula of a half circle to cut out the waist radius. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say waist radius and the formula, go ahead and check out the detailed tutorial that I have on understanding circles and you understand how to find the waist radius for any type of circle you're trying to cut. In this case, I am cutting a half circle, which is 180 degrees circle. So I've gone ahead to work out the waist radius, which is the total circumference divided by pi. I also ensured to cut out the desired length for my circle. After doing that, I went ahead to open up the circle around the waist area and I created a notch at the center of the circle. Go ahead and hem the 2 sides of the circle by folding in ½ an inch twice. As you can see, I was about to attach it onto the bodice before I remembered to hem it. So you want to fold in ½ an inch twice as shown. After hemming the ends of the 180 degree circle, here's what it looks like. You also want to hem the ends of the bodice, which is basically just about 1 inch. So you want to hem that in place as well. After hemming the ends of the bodice, here's what it looks like. The next thing to do is to attach the bodice to the circle. To do this, you want to place the bodice on the table so that the right side is facing up, and then you want to locate the notch on the bodice. You want to match the notch on the bodice to the notch on the circle, making sure the right sides of both pieces are facing each other. Then you want to go ahead and pin the ends, starting from the tip of the circle as well as the tip of the bodice, and then pin it towards the notch that we've pinned. In this case, there was a bit of excess towards the notch. However, I envisaged that happening. So what I decided to do was that every excess that I had, I made sure to put it towards the notch, and then I created an inverted pleat or a kissing pleat around the notch area. So I just did one to the left and one to the right. Again, if you don't know about pleats, I have a detailed tutorial teaching you about pleats. I'll put a link in the icons above, so go ahead and check it out if you're trying to understand pleats. After pinning the entire bodice to the entire skirt, go ahead and sew it in place on ½ an inch sewing allowance, starting from one side to the other end as shown. After sewing the bodice to the flare, here's what it looks like, and as you can see, I went ahead to overlock it. So this is what it looks like at this point, and we are nearly finished. The next thing to do will be to sort out the belts that will be attaching to the wrap dress. To cut out the belts, there are 2 types of belts that I recommend. You can do the simple belt, and for that I recommend cutting out a fabric that is about 5 inches wide and then 60 inches long. So you basically are going to put it on fold and then just sew it over. Otherwise, you can do what I'm doing, which is to give it a bit of character. So what I want to do is, in this case, because my fabric is not long enough, I'm going to be joining 2 pieces of fabric. For the first one, I have it about 15 inches in length, and I'm just trying to get a slant end. So what I have done is mark 5 inches as the width while it's on fold. So remember that it's on fold. That means when it's open up, it will be a total of 10 inches. And then I marked 3 inches up to raise it and give it a slant. So I connected the slant to the end as shown, and at the top I marked 3.5 inches. I don't know if that's a bit confusing, but basically you just want to create a slant shape as opposed to having it just straight. Like I said earlier, this piece is only 15 inches long and we have cut out 2 pieces for the 2 belts that we require. We'll be joining these pieces to a longer piece which we'll be cutting now. So for the longer piece, you want to cut out 2 strips of fabric that are about 10 inches wide totally, and then you want to fold them into 2 as shown. After folding into 2, you want to indicate the base where you'll be starting from, and that's where you'll be joining to the other piece, and you want to match whatever measurement that you have on the other piece to the measurement at the base of this piece. So at the base of the other piece, I have 3.5 inches, which is what I'm measuring to confirm. So I'm going to put the same 3.5 inches at the base of this belt, and then at the tip of this belt, I'm going to have 2 inches. I'm going to create a slant line from the top all the way to the 3.5 inches at the bottom. So in this case, this belt is slant as opposed to being straight. However, in total, the length that I kept is still 60 inches. After marking out the slant line on the belt, go ahead and cut it out. Like I said, the beginning of the belt where we join to the bodice is about 2 inches wide, and then it slants out to become 3.5 inches where it joins to the second piece. So go ahead and cut it out as shown. Mark the wrong side of the belt pieces and then go ahead and separate the pieces. You want to take one of the bigger pieces and then one of the longer pieces, and then you want to join it together, making sure the right sides are facing each other and to make sure that you're joining the right places. After joining it together on 1/2 inch, here's what it looks like. After joining the belt pieces together, go ahead and fold them into 2 as shown. After folding into 2, you want to go ahead and pin it in place starting from the slanted area up until very top of the belt. After pinning it in place, go ahead and sew it in place on 1/2 inch sewing allowance. After sewing the belt, go ahead and trim off all the excess fabric to avoid bulk. After doing that, you want to go ahead and use a loop turner to turn the belt inside out. If you don't have a loop turner, a screwdriver will work as well. Like I said, you need to leave the top part of the belt open so that this will serve as an exit point. You want to make sure to push out all the corners while turning the belt to the right side. After turning both belts to the right side, go ahead and give the belts a good iron, and then go ahead and attach the belt to the dress. To attach the belt to the dress, you basically just want to find the tip of the dress where the belt will be attached, and then you want to pin it into place and sew it in place. So basically, you're just going to hold it with pin to the wrong side and then just sew it in place so that it extends as shown. After sewing the belt in place and tying it, this is what it looks like. And at this point, guys, I also went ahead to hem the circle. And if you don't know how to do that, I have a detailed tutorial showing you how to hem a circle. I've put a link in the icons above. Check it out if you haven't already seen it. The next thing to do will be to sort out the sleeves. So you want to go ahead and measure out the armhole. After measuring the armhole, go ahead and fold the remaining fabric into 2 and then fold it again so that you can cut out both sleeves at the same time. The next thing to do is to cut out the required length that you need. Now remember that this sleeve, it actually has 2 parts, so you've got the straight part as well as the puffy part, and the straight part is 3/4 length. So the 3/4 length that I require is 18 inches. So go ahead and cut out the desired length that you need, and for me, I've cut out 18 inches. You want to keep the remaining part of the fabric fabric, as it will be useful later. The next thing is to measure the armhole measurement that you took horizontally. So as you can see, I've measured that horizontally, and then I went ahead to mark 5 inches vertically from the top and then drew in the S-shaped armhole curve. If you would like to understand how I did this, go ahead and watch the detailed tutorial that I have on how to draft your own sleeve. It's a full video and I've put the link in iCards above as well as in the description bar. After doing that, because this is fitted, you want to go ahead and mark the bicep measurement all the way from just beneath the S-shaped curve up until where you have the 3/4 sleeve. And then after marking out the bicep measurement, you want to cut out the sleeve as shown. After cutting out the sleeves, create a notch at the center of the hem, which is where it joins to the puffy part, as well as at the sleeve crown. This will help you to join the sleeve to the armhole easily. After doing that, you need to cut out a piece of fabric for the puffy part. So you want to measure out what you had at the hem of the straight sleeve, and then you want to make sure that the material you need for the puffy part is at least 2.5 inches to 3 inches times whatever you need. So for instance, if at the hem of the sleeves you measured 10 inches in total, you want to make sure that the material you need for the puffy part is about 30 inches or at least 25 inches long. Generally, for the puffy part, I recommend having a measurement of about 10 inches in length by 25 inches in width or 30 inches in width if you have more fabric. After cutting out 2 pieces of each of them, you want to go ahead and notch the center of the material for the puffy part and then match it to the notch on the center of the sleeves, ensuring the right sides of both pieces are facing each other. Then you want to go ahead and pin the ends of the sleeve, ensuring that you have 1 inch straight at the ends of the sleeve and then 1 inch straight at the other end of the sleeve. Go ahead and pleat the excess fabric onto the sleeve as shown. After pleating the excess fabric onto the sleeve, here's what it looks like, or here's what it should look like. After doing that, you want to go ahead and sew it on 1/2 inch from one end to the other end, making sure to repeat this on the other sleeve as well. So guys, after sewing it, here's what it looks like on both sleeves. And then the next thing to do is to fold the sleeve into 2 as shown and then pin it in place from the top to the bottom. After pinning the sleeves from the top to the bottom, go ahead and mark out the sewing allowance of 1 inch and then sew it in place. Ensure to repeat this on the other sleeve as well. After sewing it in place, here's what it looks like. The next thing to do is to make the elastic casing, and you want to do that by folding in 1/2 inch and then about 3/4 inch. You want to make sure you sew this all around, making sure to leave a gap of about 1 inch unsewn so you have space to pass the elastic into the elastic casing. Cut out the desired length that you need for the elastic, making sure that it's comfortable and it's not too tight. You want to cut out 2 pieces of that, and then with the aid of a safety pin, you're going to pass this into the elastic casing as shown. After passing the elastic into the elastic casing, go ahead and secure with a stitch in place, and then go ahead and close the elastic casing by top stitching it closed. After that, this is what the sleeve looks like, and you're practically done with the sleeve. Repeat this for the other side, and if you want yours to be puffier and bigger, you can go ahead and increase the recommended fabric size for the puffy part. However, this was just something really simple, and to be honest, I didn't have that much fabric left. After sorting out the sleeves, go ahead and join the sleeves to the armhole by sewing it on 1/2 inch sewing allowance. If you don't know how to sew sleeves, go ahead and check out the tutorial that I linked earlier. I've put a link in the description bar on how to cut and fix sleeves. It would help you. So guys, at this point, we've come to the very end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching to the very end. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was worth your while. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to leave your comment suggestions and feedback in the comment section below. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.